Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while that I film anything, and you know what? I think it's because I overthink the heck out of YouTube. YouTube is the only platform that actually scares me for whatever reason. And typically I don't do this type of content, but I'm the type of person that I watch something and I just can't watch something and then just go home and forget all about it. Like any movie that I watch, any show that I watch, I really always need like answers. Like you see me on Google to try to figure out the ending, and then I feel like I never have anybody to talk to, and I didn't even know that this type of content even existed until recently. Then I'm like, oh my god, there's other people out there just like me that actually need closure on certain shows or certain things. And I know that I'm super behind because Dexter finished I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I'm still that much upset. But I have nobody to talk to about why I'm so upset at the finale of Dexter yet again. This is not really the content that I do, but if you guys want me to, do this type of content or me get better at it, I will practice because I've never done this before. But this is my version of me venting at being so upset at the finale of the new Dexter. The content that I'm used to doing is on TikTok and Instagram, which I'll link other stuff right here so you guys can see. I'm known as Biggiegram. And then YouTube, I usually do it for like story times about my life or whatever, but there's so many things that I like. I like crime documentaries, and I've always thought about doing that. I like these type of reviews where people explain movies or talk about what they didn't like in movies and shows, and I'm into all of that stuff. So my YouTube channel isn't like one thing. It can just be like a whole bunch of mixture of things. So maybe when I get better at it, I can make maybe separate channels, but for now it's like whatever I'm in the mood for. So this is what you're gonna get today. If you like it, subscribe, turn on that bell notification, and I would really like to know you guys' comments on what you guys think of the ending of Dexter. Also, if you like the ending of Dexter, I would like to know why you liked it, because I'm not the type of person that I feel like you have to agree with me, like, oh, everybody hated it so you have to hate it too. No, if you liked it, I would like to know why you actually liked it or why you thought that made sense. Also, there's going to be spoilers, so if you've not seen the Dexter's New Blood, please do not watch this video because I will spoil everything for you. So you've been warned. If you haven't seen it, please just click out of the video, watch it, and then come back and see if we kind of agree on all the stuff that happened in the show that let everybody down, not just myself. I'm not gonna lie, I am nervous because I've never done this type of content before. I'm not known for this type of content. I'm more comedic. That's what I do. I more do like funny videos, Hispanic moms and stuff like that. But again, this is just something that I like to talk about. So hopefully I don't let you guys down. And if I make mistakes or things that you guys feel that I should add in my next video, if I continue to do this type of content, then let me know because I'm all for it. I like constructive criticism. I'm okay with that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was Dexter's personality on the show. I think that there was a lot of things in Dexter that I wasn't really feeling. Like, I know that he hadn't killed anybody in 10 years because, but he was also a little too sloppy for me. Like, he made so many mistakes that I'm like, that's just so unlike Dexter. I feel like the writers of the show kind of went off of him a little bit because he did make a lot of mistakes, and I'm like, he's not known for that. So that upset me a little bit because I know it was like, oh, but he hasn't killed in 10 years, so he had to get back into the hang of it. But I'm like, yeah, but he spent so many years perfecting that you're gonna expect for me to think that he's just gonna not kill for 10 years and make all these mistakes. It was just a lot of stuff that I wasn't really feeling with his new character. I felt like he was not as much as the Dexter that we're known, that he's just very meticulous, he's very careful, he was just kind of like all over the place. Like, even when the first guy that he killed, he left like blood everywhere, then he had to walk all the way back to cover the blood. I'm like, really? Like, he wouldn't make such a huge mistake. Maybe little mistakes, but not huge mistakes like that. Now, something about the original Dexter that he stayed being true to his character was, I think that it was cool that he was actually dating, that his girlfriend was actually the chief of police or the sheriff or whatever she was, but she was in charge. And that was very Dexter. Like, I was like, no, he's smart. He's not just gonna date any girl in this small town. He decided to date like the actual cop of the town because he wanted to stay on top of everything. So that was very Dexter-like, and I thought that was cool. I was like, all right, he's dating a cop. First rule of the code is don't get caught. So the fact that he was dating a cop and she was like the chief or the sheriff or whatever, I thought, I was like, yo, that was smart. I also felt that there were times that Dexter would be worried about things. Like, he was always worried, and I'm like, that's unlike him. He's not really a he doesn't worry. Maybe he worries, but I just felt like he worried a little too much, and maybe that's just me. And he was also like unaware of certain things. Like, I'll get into it, but like there was a couple of things that happened with Angie that I'm like, that's just doesn't seem like something that he wouldn't have caught on to. Like, once she started suspecting him and things like that, she started to change with him. And I feel like he would have been able to figure that out. Like, hey, she's not kissing me the same. She's not hugging me the same. And he was just very unaware. And again, that's unlike Dexter. So there was a lot of things that I'm like, I'm not really feeling, I just feel like he's sloppy. So that was just kind of like my whole take on the Dexter character himself. I was like, oh, he's still Dexter, but there was still kind of like a lot of things about him that I'm like, but he was, oh, and the fact that he killed Logan, like, let's not forget that. He killed an innocent person, and I'm just like, okay, that's really unlike Dexter. And in the past, when he has killed somebody innocent, he always felt guilty. He's like, oh my God, like, I killed the wrong person type of thing. But this one, it was just like, oh, I killed Logan, let me keep it moving. And I'm like, I don't know, but I read somewhere, I heard somewhere that the writer said that he didn't really kill Logan, that when he was, choking him and Logan shot, he was just trying to escape from the bullet. And that's why he accidentally snapped Logan's neck, and then he ended up killing him. Again, if that was an accident, then he would have shown some type of remorse. Like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to do that. You're innocent. But he was just like, oh, Logan, it didn't have to be this way. And it was just like, I'm going to kill you and then keep it moving. And I'm like, he wouldn't. And then Logan was like the nicest guy ever. I'm like, really? You're going to just have this guy? Like, there was so many things. Like, and remember that he studied jujitsu, or however you say that. So I'm like, you're telling me that you couldn't do a chokehold and just kind of, when he did the gunshot, he could have like maybe put him to sleep or something. I'm like, the whole snapping of the neck, just again, so un-Dexter-like, if that is even a word or whatever. But again, I was just like, I'm watching the show and I'm like, yo, he's making so many mistakes. That's not him. Like, so I wasn't really, but then overall, the show was actually good. I mean, the plot of everything, as it was going, as it was progressing, I was really enjoying every episode. I think that the only thing for me was that it dragged a little bit. And I think that it dragged for me because we're so used to binge watching shows that this one just kind of came on, and then I had to wait for every Sunday for it to come on. And I just felt like every Sunday something happened. We were getting close to something, and then it felt like it dragged, and okay, I have to wait to the next episode to see that. But then I would see the episode and I felt that it dragged too. And I think a lot of the things that dragged was the whole Harrison and him thing. Like, and I'm going to talk about Harrison too, but it was just like, Harrison is this type of character, but then Dexter's almost going to tell him. And then the next episode, Deborah comes out and doesn't tell him, and a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, bro, you guys dragged that out for so many episodes. That's why I was like, I would have to go back and binge watch it to maybe see if I feel the same way. But for a little bit of the show, it did kind of feel that it kind of dragged for me. But I don't know if that's because I just couldn't binge watch it, or but there is a part of the show that I did feel that dragged, or it could just be me. You guys let me know if you thought the same thing too. That's my whole thing on Dexter. Now, Deborah, I love the fact that they brought her back, and I love the fact that she was the new Harry. I was like, oh, that's an amazing way of bringing back Deborah, because I miss Deborah. You had to have the show with Deborah in it. The only thing is that they made her like yell too much at him, like all the time. She was always like mad. But then I kind of took it as, okay, that's probably the side of him that, because when we see the original Dexter, you see that Harry's always kind of like very nice and, Dexter, this is what you got to do and this and that. And oh my God, I just forgot. Side note, I'm filming for about 11 minutes and I just realized I never turned on my ring light. Next time I do a YouTube video, I got to take like 3 shots or something, because I'm telling you, YouTube is the only social media platform that makes me nervous. I feel like I make so many mistakes. But anyways, let's keep it moving. Now we got some light. Back to Deborah. So I feel like, yes, Harry always was more like, was always like consoling him. Like, okay, it's okay, Dexter. You're my son. I taught you the code. And he would get angry every now and then. But I feel like this side was more like Deborah was just like, don't do it. Don't tell him. Harry was, that was child abuse. And I was like, wow, Deborah. Like, so I don't know if I was kind of feeling that, but then I kind of understand, because that's probably the side of the brain of Dexter that should have told him that all this stuff was bad and he shouldn't have been doing this from the very beginning. So either which way, I was just happy that Deborah was back. However, they brought her, and I thought that her being the new Harry was freaking awesome. I think that storyline was just amazing. Let's talk about Harrison. I really, when I was like, who's watching him? As you're watching the show, you're like, who's watching him? And I'm like, is that Harrison? I was like, I wonder if they're gonna bring his son, because I didn't read anything before Dexter, because I actually like being surprised. I didn't want anything to get spoiled. And I remember reading somewhere that Deborah was gonna be the new Harry, and that spoiled it for me. I'm like, oh man, I wish that I wouldn't have had read that, because that would have been a really good surprise for me to see. I actually like being surprised. It's getting to the point now that even with regular movies, I don't even watch the trailers, because I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, trailers are now giving out so much information to a movie that I'm like, bro, it's almost like you gave everything away in a trailer. So I stopped watching trailers for movies a while back, only because I feel like the trailers now are just giving way too much, or showing cameos of people, or even shows like, oh, we brought this show, and then they show somebody really important, and I'm like, that would have been a good surprise. But I think they do that for the audience, so they can make, so it's like a like baiting the audience, like, listen, we're gonna show you this, so that way you can go and watch it. So I guess it's good for advertisement, because it makes you want to watch it. But then for people like me that like to be surprised with cameos and things like that, it kind of sucks. So anyways, but that's just me. But I like that they brought Harrison. I had no idea that in any way they were going to bring him back. So that was a good surprise for me. I liked that they brought him. I thought that the reason that they brought Harrison was because they were going to do like this duo, like father, son, him teaching him the code. And I'm like, wow, because you just with a little bit of the clip that you saw on Harrison, you're like, oh, you can already tell this kid is creepy. And it was funny when he was like, you know, Hannah died of cancer. I'm like, why do I feel like that's not true? Like, I still feel like if they do a season 2, I feel like somehow he's gonna admit that he did something to Hannah, if she's even dead. Because, you know, this story is all over the place right now, so you don't even know what they're gonna do. But I would love to see Hannah again. But as soon as he said that, I'm like, are you sure that she died of cancer, or maybe he killed her? I don't know. That's just me, and I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of people thought the same thing. As soon as he said that, people were like in doubt, like, well, dude, you're Dexter's son, like, did you kill Hannah? I did feel that Harrison came off very, very creepy, where Dexter tends to blend in a little bit more. But then I forgot that when Dexter was his age, he also came off very creepy. That the dad was always like, you know, Harry was always like, you know, you have to smile in pictures, and you have to pretend you're having a good time, and, you know, you have to take a girl to prom and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, it kind of makes sense. I like that they kept the same storyline. I think they casted him well, because he did a good job. The only thing is that I think that they made Harrison a little too whiny, like that typical teenager that, you know, oh, I'm gonna storm off and I'm gonna do whatever I want in this. And that, to me, after a while, it was just kind of repetitive, and Harrison just became very annoying to me. So I don't know, I at one point I'm like, all right, dude, we get it, you know, you're unhappy, you know, you felt abandoned by your father, you found him, and it's gonna be awkward now. That would be awkward for anyone. But at the same time, it's like, you're just being a little too much. So at one point I did think that he was just a little too whiny, and I'm like, all right, is he gonna get better? Because he's como que está jodiendo demasiado. But I liked him as a character. I think they did a good job at casting him. And then with Harrison, I was also confused, because here we are watching the whole show, and Harrison immediately comes off super creepy, you know, from day one. Then he's at school, and this innocent kid that's getting bullied all the time, he defends. But then all of a sudden, he completely sets him up like if he was this bad kid. Then after a time, he pulled out this blade to these other kids, and if Dexter hadn't, you know, like intervened, he probably would have cut those kids. Then he breaks the kid's arm in wrestling. So the whole time of this show, we're getting this dark passenger that's clearly in Harrison. And then, like, towards the end, when he shoots Dexter, he all of a sudden has this moral conscience of, oh, you know, you're not even the dark passenger, you're the driver, which I like that line. It was actually pretty cool, because it's true. At this point, Dexter's dark passenger is like, dude, you're doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But at the same time, it was like, you're telling me that the whole setup of the show, you're getting Harrison to just be this creepy kid, obviously with a dark passenger. I'm thinking that he's gonna, you know, be partners with Dexter and kind of just kill bad people together, which is what I thought. Then all of a sudden, oh, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be like you. So in what sense does it make that I don't want to be like you, so I'm going to kill you to not be like you? That doesn't make it make sense. You're telling me that you want to be morally okay. Oh, dad, you're this bad person, and, you know, as long as you're around, I'm going to continue to be bad, so let me shoot you so then I can be better. And I'm like, that doesn't, I'm still trying to figure out how where did, like, how did the writing, like, how did that make sense to the writers to be like, you know what, Harrison was crazy the whole time, but then at the end we're just gonna make him, like, you know, I don't know, find God all of a sudden, and then he's gonna shoot his dad, and now he's gonna just be a great guy. So then it's like, is the show over? Like, where would you go in season 2? Because from where it's going, I think that season 2, it's just gonna be Harrison is gonna be the new Dexter, and Dexter is gonna be the new Harry. And if that's where it's going, it's like, we didn't want a spinoff. The whole time we wanted Dexter to come back because we wanted Dexter. We didn't want Dexter's son. Had nobody ever petitioned, you know what, bring Harrison back, kill Dexter, and then we'll watch that spinoff. No. It's like, how do you let us down 2 times? You brought the son in, this great storyline, but then the son kills Harrison, and now it's like, is there even gonna be a season 2? Because where are, not to mention that they brought Angel, and I'm just like, oh my god, they brought Angel, which that whole thing was just conveniently set. I'm gonna try to do this the best way that I can, because it's just all over the place, because I'm just so upset at so many things. Like, you bring Angel back, like, he's so fundamentally, like, important from the Miami Metro. You bring him and then be like, okay, like, just act like you didn't even see him, because we brought him for no apparent reason, because I don't know if the storyline is supposed to continue to part 2. And I'm like, bro, we would have loved to have seen Angel and Dexter together. Like, you imagine Angel coming in like, you're alive? Like, this whole time you're alive, and wait, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher? Like, to have that realization of one of the past characters, to realize, like, you know, we thought it was Dokes. LaGuerta always defended Dokes and told me it could have been you. I didn't believe her. Nobody believed her, and it was true the whole time. You're that person, and it's like, are you responsible for Deborah? Like, you know, are you responsible for my wife's murder, you know, or his ex-wife's murder? All these things, like, to have him confess. And it would have been even cool to see, because, you know, Dexter doesn't lie, so it would have been cool to see Angel asking him, like, did you kill LaGuerta? And it would have been so cool if he would have been like, I didn't, Deborah did. I mean, it's like that would have been insane to see, for Angel to be like, what? Because, you know, Angel was all like family and stuff. It would have been awesome to be like, you know, you were like my hermano, you know, type of thing. And nope, you just left us all of that. And I think that all of that is probably gonna happen off screen, which it really sucks, because us as the audience, we would have wanted to see that. Like, I always wanted Dexter to be figured out by somebody in the Miami Metro. I never really wanted Dexter to die, because I think that would have just been too easy just to kill him off. I always wanted, like, this really crazy manhunt and all that stuff for them to eventually find Dexter and then just put him in jail. Or I don't know, if they were gonna kill him, maybe kill him after he got caught in jail, and then, like, in the electric chair, or I don't know, somebody in jail doing something. But it's like, but at least ending up in jail where he would have been caught. You know, that's what I always wanted to see. If I would have had a like, alternate endings or something, I would have been, okay, this is the ending where he died, and then this is the ending where he got caught. And I always felt like if I had to choose between the two, I honestly would have wanted for him to get caught. Just because first rule of the code is don't get caught, it would have been cool to actually see him get caught. So the storyline was all over the place. It's like, why even bring Angel back if you're not going to do anything with Angel? And it was just like, but I was really happy to see him. But it was so like, and then he's grabbing the file, and wait, when did this picture get taken? And you're like, you're setting up this whole thing where we're like, oh my god, we're about to see. No, and then all of a sudden Dexter dies, and Angel never gets that meeting with Dexter. And it's just like, pero, I mean, like, who wrote this? Like, why would you think that? I mean, it's like the whole storyline was great until like the last 20 minutes, and then you guys are gonna mess it up. And you mess it up not once in season 8 of the first one, you're gonna mess it up twice, bringing it back after 10 years, and we're waiting for this, and you're gonna let us down yet again. And I'm like, I mean, it's like, why even bring the show back? I feel like all the writers now are getting so much hate, because it's like, yo, not only did you guys mess up once, you guys messed up twice. But it's almost like a compliment that people loved your show so much, but yet you let the audience down with the ending. And there's a lot of shows, there's even Spanish, I watch novelas, and there's novelas that end the same way, like Ruby. Amazing novela. Then at the end, you're like, really? Like, that's really, this is a great novela, and this is how you guys are gonna end it? Like, I would love to talk about novelas too, so if you guys want to see that, let me know, because I'm definitely down for. I would love to talk about this all day. Reason that I also want to make this content is because I always want somebody to talk to about these things, and I never have anybody to talk to. So like I said, I didn't know that people actually did this kind of content. So it would just be fun to just be able to talk to you guys and let you guys know how I feel, and then read it in the comments and, you know, converse with you guys in the comments, because I feel very passionate about this and I just thought I was alone. So it's cool to know that there's other people that feel the same way as me, that they finish a show and they lose sleep. We'll be in sleep at night, like in bed, like, I can't believe that this is how Dexter finished. Like, they did this to us again. You're like itching, like, oh my God, like, it's not just, I'm not alone. And it's good to know that I'm not alone with that. Now, the only explanation that I have for Dexter killing Logan because he was innocent is because the first rule of the code is don't get caught. And as we can see, in the season 8, the doctor was like, oh, who do you think that gave Harry the code? I taught him the code so Harry can teach you. You know, she even says it. She's like, you know, you have to only kill bad people, but the first rule of the code is don't get caught. She's like, I did that on purpose so you can have a little bit of a leverage. So I feel like him killing Logan was because he didn't want to get caught. So he's like, well, I'm still abiding by the rule. You know, I'm not trying to get caught. But then it's like, but you didn't have enough evidence to be convicted of anything. Everything they had on Dexter was all circumstantial. He could have gotten away. So that's another thing that makes me mad, that I'm like, okay, you're afraid of being in jail. Everybody knew that Kurt was the, you know, the killer, or he got caught, or Angie figured it out type of thing. And then it's like, but you're still gonna be, no, I'm in jail. Let me kill Logan. Let me run away. We need to leave. And it's like, dude, everything they had on you was circumstantial. Like, he didn't need to do any of that. And in real life, people have gotten off with more evidence against them. And then I know it's a show, but you know what I mean. But then it's like, everything was like, you could have gotten away with it, Dexter. Like, you know, Angie would have eventually figured out that everything was Kurt. And, you know, they would have let you go because literally everything they had wasn't enough to be able to convict him. So it's like he wouldn't have gotten caught anyway. So still killing Logan was like, you should have not killed Logan. You didn't need to kill Logan for any other reason. He didn't meet the code. You weren't gonna get caught because everything was circumstantial, and you killed an innocent person. Like, it almost felt like when Dexter told Harrison to shoot him, it was like a cop out. It was like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I don't know if I can live with this anymore. In order for me to be a good father, I can't be in your life. And it's just like, it just, the whole thing didn't make any sense to me. It was like, oh, shoot me right here in the heart, and I'm like, so you want to teach your son to not be like you, but in order for him not to be like you, he has to shoot you in the heart to not be like you. And to just, I don't, just think, okay, how does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Like, please let me know. If you like this ending, I would really like to know why. Like, if you can explain it to me, maybe I'll be like, you know what, Susie, that makes sense. Like, now I get why he had to die. Yeah, you know what? You explained it to me in a way that I'm totally gonna get it, and I'm on board with it. But everybody else that I know, we all hate this ending. And I think it's crazy that they killed Dexter off on the very first season. Like, if you were gonna kill him off at the end. How do you kill him off on the first season? And then where is the storyline gonna go from here? Like, what's the point? Like, what was the point of even bringing him back if you were gonna kill him on the first season? Like, this looked like it was supposed to be the ending of another season, or the ending of the show finale or whatever, but not the first season. Like, let me kill off the main character that we brought back. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, let's bring back a show after 10 years, but then let's kill off the main character. I feel like the writers were just like, whatever, I don't care. Like, we're just gonna bring him back and we're just gonna kill him off just because we just want to get rid of Dexter. We just want to get everybody off our backs. And then it's like, okay, so you shouldn't have brought him back to kill him. If we go back to Harrison, I feel like if he wanted to have a better relationship with his dad, he should have then just, if he wanted, all of a sudden, he got this moral conscience that he, you know, all of a sudden developed towards the end, he should have just shot Dexter. You know, when Dexter was like, oh, shoot me in the heart, he should have just shot him in the leg. Like, you know, okay, Dad, I'm gonna shoot you, but I'm gonna shoot you in the leg, and, you know, I'm gonna call the cops, and you're just gonna turn yourself in. And in order for you to salvage our relationship from father to son, I don't want to do this whole killing thing with you. I'd rather just have you in jail and, you know, learn from that. And maybe you could have ended the series finale like that. Like, oh, wow, you know, Harrison shoots him, has him turn himself in, and Dexter ends up going to jail. I would have probably liked something like that. Tell me what you guys think. But it's like, you just kill him off because you want to be a better person. I don't want to be a killer. but in order for me not to be a killer, I have to kill my father. That whole storyline doesn't make any sense to me. I'm so upset because it doesn't make any sense. If anything, worst case scenario, send him to jail. And then maybe season 2 would have been, I don't know, maybe Dexter escaping jail, or I don't know, that even sounds kind of, I don't know. It's just like, or maybe end the series finale where maybe Dexter and him did kill together for maybe 2 or 3 seasons, but then Harrison just didn't want to do it anymore, and that was his out. Like, you know what, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna shoot you in your leg, and you have to go to jail. And I can only be better knowing that you have the integrity of a man to turn yourself in, or to be in jail and us have a relationship from there. I don't know if that storyline even makes sense, but I just feel like anything would have been better than Dexter getting shot in the heart. Now let's talk about Angie, or Angela, the sheriff or the chief of the town, what her character brought to the show. I liked Angela. Like, I liked her as a cop. I honestly thought I liked her as a character. I didn't have any problems with her character in general. What I think is that they made it way too convenient for her to figure Dexter out when everybody in Miami Metro couldn't figure him out. And all of a sudden, this small town cop puts all these pieces together, and boom, she figures out that he's the Bay Harbor Butcher, like that in the first season. I'm just like, maybe if they would have just kind of dragged that along, maybe like she's starting to suspect, and maybe season 2 she's like getting closer, like, I kind of let it go. Like Quinn, there was a time where Quinn suspected Dexter, with the whole Trinity, like, is this Kyle Butler type of thing, and then he just kind of let it go. But I don't think he was ever easy with that. I feel like Quinn always felt like there was something off about Dexter, but when he fell in love with Deborah, he kind of was just like, all right, I love this girl, this is my girlfriend's brother, let me not suspect him. But he did, and he was on the right path. So I thought that Quinn figured him out, and that's where I thought the storyline at that time was going, that he was gonna figure him out, which I would have thought it would have been cool if they would have brought Quinn back too, like after all this time, to be like, I knew there was something wrong about you, so you were Kyle Butler type of thing. Only because people always want to prove themselves right. Like, man, everybody thought I was crazy, but I knew he was Kyle Butler. There was something about him. I just think that with Angela, everything was just way too convenient. Like, she casually just goes into this conference, and it happens to be with Angel. Angel happens to talk about Dexter and Harrison and all this stuff, and she puts the pictures together, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 she figures everything out. Yet she's been in that small town for I don't know how many years, and in that small town, nobody put together that Kurt was always one of the last people seen talking to young runaways, and then they didn't see them anymore. And then in the diner, he was always like, oh, can you get me an application for what's her face? I'm like, didn't people put 2 and 2 together? Like, how many applications have I given to this guy? And every time I give him an application, the girl all of a sudden disappears. Like, in a small town, everybody knows everything about each other. So I feel like, how could you guys have not, especially her, that they made it seem like she was such a good cop? How did such a good cop not put that together? But then Dexter, all of a sudden, she just put everything together because everything was just very convenient for her. And that's kind of like where I didn't like it. I felt like it was way too easy for her to get that. What I did like is that she was just more cop all the time. She was cop brain, and she is a good cop. Because as a good cop, once she started suspecting Dexter, it's like the girlfriend mentality went out the window. She was like, listen, I love you and I'm in love with you, but I'm a cop first, and I already know you're doing this and this and that. So she immediately went to cop mode and didn't fall for anything that Dexter said. Because, even in the interrogation, he always tries to sweet talk people, like, oh, that's not mine. What are you talking about? She's like, nah. Like, listen, I know it's you. You're not going to do this to me. So she's cop mode. Whereas in Miami Metro, everyone loved Dexter way too much to ever consider him for anything. Quinn suspected him. LaGuerta didn't believe him. You need to get off of that. And she suspended him. Angel would never ever believe anything crazy about, Dexter. Deborah didn't believe anything. Everyone was so invested and loved Dexter. And like, oh, the donut guy, that guy, the lab geek, he can't do that. He can't be the Bay Harbor Butcher type of thing. So nobody really could take their eyes or open their eyes and be like, well, I'm a cop, but maybe I should suspect him because, maybe he does fit the... No, but everybody just loved him too much to ever even consider, well, let me look into that. Only Quinn. Quinn was the only one that was like, I don't know, there's something about this guy. Let me look into that. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. So it was just... I just felt like it was so it was good and bad. I feel like it was too quick for her to figure everything out. That's my niece. It's too quick for her to figure everything out because they just laid it all like, here, this is all for you so you can figure out that Dexter is who he really is, or that Jim Lindsay isn't really Jim Lindsay type of thing. But I also like that she just didn't fall for Dexter's crap. You know, like anytime he said anything, she was like, nah, listen, I'm already in cop mode. But I also didn't like that they didn't keep her human. You know, once she started suspecting Dexter, she immediately just was like, oh, I'm not a girlfriend anymore. I don't love you anymore. I don't care. Whatever. It's almost like she hated him. And I'm like, you're really going to do that? And I think that in real life, you know, any cop, anybody, like lawyers or whatever, once they figure out that a partner of theirs or their kids or whatever, it's like they're a cop, but they're still like, all right, my son, you did this. Well, I'm a cop, but I'm going to try to help you cover it up because I love you so much. And she never, ever was like, I'm going to try to help you, whatever, you know, I know Dexter is, you know, this, so I'm just going to immediately arrest him and do all this stuff. And I kind of was like, I'm like 50-50 with that. I was like, wow, she really would. But then Harrison kills Dexter and she's like, here's $20, go leave town. And I'm like, so that contradicted the fact that I was like, so I thought that she was a good cop and she was not about that life. And that's why she, no matter how much she felt about Dexter, she was still going to arrest him. But yeah, Harrison killed him and she's leave town. So I'm like, so then you made the character contradict each other. If you wanted her to stay that good cop, what mentality, that why cover for Harrison, which again, she didn't need to cover for Harrison because Harrison could have just easily said, oh, it was self-defense, I killed him because he killed Logan. Again, Harrison didn't need to run away because he had nothing to run away from. So it was just like all this writing that I'm just like, yo, you guys are all over the place with this show. I also kind of didn't like that, you know, we've known Angela for like, what, 5 minutes? And then she's the main person that figures Dexter out, where I always wanted one of the old characters from the original Dexter to figure him out. Like, I don't know, maybe bring back, if anything, even, I mean, worst case scenario, even Masuka. He was like my least favorite, but whatever. Even him, like, just bring somebody back, you know. But I think there's a rumor that I think Masuka is actually going to come back, which I'm actually interested in seeing him if there's a season 2. Because I don't think, at the rate the show is going now, there's like a lot of speculation that there might not be a season 2. There's also speculation that they just did it to bring him back and that's it. And I'm like, that doesn't make... Like, I've never seen bringing back a show for do it one season, kill off the main character, and that's it. It's like, what? So you're going to redeem yourself like that? I would have thought that the show would have kept going on for a little bit, maybe like 2 or 3 seasons or something like that. So, I don't know. That's still all in speculation, or maybe I'm behind the news because I made this video so late. So, you guys can update me. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. I would have wanted to see, you know, Masuka or Angel, Quinn, anybody from the past, you know, actually figure him out, not somebody new. So that's, I also was like, oh man, Angie was the one that figured him out. I kind of would have wanted to see an old, you know, one of the OGs, you know, figure him out, which I thought that that's why they brought Angel. I thought that Angel and her together were going to figure that out. But then, no. And I'm just like, okay, so then why even bring Angel back? I'm still confused as to why Angel even came here. Back to Angie, when she was being all distant with Dexter and kind of treating him, I'm surprised that Dexter didn't catch on to that. Like, he always caught on when somebody was weird with him. Her being all distant and kind of like, he was just like, oh, well, let's have a sweater party and, you know, Christmas and let's just exchange gifts. And I'm like, you never noticed at one point that she was just being very, very dry with you? Like, so again, that goes back to the whole Dexter was just not being Dexter. I also thought it was weird that Angie couldn't figure out for all these years in that small town, you know, the girls that were missing, you know, was that guy. And she's been in that small town forever, but yet she's going to figure out Dexter in 5 minutes. If you were ever a serial killer, small towns is not the place to go. So I'm surprised that they even went with that. Like, he's in a small town, because if he would have started killing, people would have immediately figured him out. He got away with it in Miami because Miami is just so, you know, overly populated. So I don't know, that was all over the place for me as well. I also like the character of Molly. I thought it was a good addition because that's kind of like what's going on. I feel like the show was like in its time because, you know that now people do crime documentaries on YouTube. There's podcasts for that, and I listen to all that stuff. I follow a whole bunch of YouTubers that talk about crime, and that's something that eventually in my YouTube channel I would like to do that as well. I would like to talk about crimes and things like that because I like hearing about that, and I like always wondering, like, okay, but did you really think this person was guilty or whatever? And I like talking about all this stuff, so I like that they brought her on the show and kind of did that. then she came to the small town and she's, you know, working on the case. And, you know, I think that there's a couple of YouTubers and podcasters that have actually worked with cops in real life. And I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool, because I've seen them in the Netflix documentaries. I'm like, hey, I followed that girl on YouTube and she was on this Netflix documentary. That's crazy. So I've seen that, and that's how popular that's becoming. I thought that was really cool. But what I kind of didn't like, and I thought the writing was a little bit off, was she did the Trinity case. She followed the whole Trinity case. They have a picture of Rita in the Trinity case. And I'm like, you mean to tell me that Molly's so invested in this that she never figured out who is Rita's husband, Dexter? And then when she saw him, she never put two and two together. She never figured out who Dexter was. And this is her job. This is her career. She's so invested in this, and she couldn't figure out that Dexter was. So I thought that she was going to be the one that was going to figure Dexter out. Like, hey, I do a podcast and he's Rita's husband. But I just took that as, even with me, that all the crime documentaries and stuff I watch, I sometimes forget who's somebody's wife, somebody's husband, somebody's son. So I could potentially run into somebody that I'm like, oh my God, that's the son of this person that unfortunately was killed or something. And maybe I wouldn't recognize them. But I kind of just didn't believe it from Molly's perspective, because she's so invested into that, and that's her career. That's literally her job. She even flew out there to try to make a new show on the whole missing, you know, guy from that town. So I just felt like that was just a little bit unrealistic for me as well. I did like the Molly character, and I thought it was so sad that when Dexter figures out the whole museum of Kerr that you see Molly, I thought the irony of that was insane to me. I'm like, this girl is a podcaster. She talks about serial killers all the time, and she herself was killed by a serial killer. I'm like, the irony of that, I liked it. I was like, oh wow, that's insane, because she escaped him once, but eventually at some point Kurt was like, oh no, you're not gonna, I'm gonna put you in my museum. So that was a really big surprise when I saw her. I was like, oh my God, he killed her. That's insane. So I felt really bad, and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy that she got so invested in that's eventually what took her out. She's talking about these serial killers, and that's eventually a serial killer got to her. And I thought that was really sad. And I don't know, there has to be a word for that, but the only word that comes to my mind is the irony. But I know there's something else, like, it's not poetic justice or anything like that. No, I know there's a word. If you figure out what word I'm trying to say, put it in the comments. I know there's like a word for that. But anyways, I thought that was really cool that well, not cool, but you know what I mean. I thought it was good writing that she ends up getting killed by an actual serial killer, and that's all she talks about. So that is it, guys. I hope that this video wasn't too long. I hope that you guys didn't get bored. That was just my take on it. I'm so upset. It's like, how do you let your audience down twice? Anyways, let me know, guys, what you think, if I should do more content like this, if this one was kind of like all over the place, if you wasn't really feeling it, let me know. But I love it. I love talking about this stuff. I really would appreciate you guys leaving your thoughts in the comments. I'm definitely going to reach out to you guys too, because like I said, I have nobody to talk to about this, because almost everybody I know that doesn't watch Dexter, which is weird. I don't know what's wrong with them, but, or maybe something's wrong with me. I don't know. But anyways, I really enjoyed making this because I felt more comfortable. I felt like I was just talking to you guys, and I really just wanted to get my opinions out. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this, subscribe. If, like I said, if you guys want me to do more stuff like this, I'm all down for it. Maybe suggest to me what you would like, because I just saw Scream 5. Have some thoughts about that too. So anyways, but thank you guys for, if you stayed to the end, thank you for sticking around. You guys have a good one, okay? Bye.